Good morning. I hope you're all there. This is my first webinar. Hopefully, I think everyone's hoping it won't be my last. I'm not sure about that one just yet. Anyway, it is all about 2020, and it's all about the logistics property deals of the year that I felt explained the year, or sort of made that year notable. And so I reckon it's parcels, pets and PPE. Scampering on. This, to me, epitomizes the whole of 2020, the Royal Mail deal at Durft. It's an 840,000 square foot build-to-suit deal done with Prologis. It's going to be rail connected. It's going to be fully automated. It typifies everything about last year. And that really is parcels. With nothing better for the rest of us to do in lockdown, we all went to the internet to do our shopping. And boy, did we shop. I think when I look at the statistics for sort of Royal Mail just on its own, in 2020, for the very first time, it handled more parcels than letters. And to be honest, if it wasn't for the parcels, perhaps Royal Mail would be consigned as a footnote in history. But beside that, in the last quarter of last year, Royal Mail delivered 496 million parcels, and on a single day dealt with 11.7 million parcels. I mean, quite extraordinary. We'll go there. We're talking about big parcels. Really, how big was this increase in parcels? I mean, if we look at it as a whole, 2.8 billion parcels were sent in the UK in 2019-2020, and that was about 7.5% increase from year on year. It's no problem. Looking at 2020, how big did it explode? Well, Royal Mail says its revenues for parcels are going to increase about 37%. Hermes parcel numbers were up 39%. DHL Express, global. It's a phenomenal move in this way. And I'm beginning to ramble, forgive me. The reason is pretty clear. We went online. Online sales, we 74.4% year on year. And that is a lot of parcels. That's a lot of sales. It's a lot of stuff moving. As retail sales, 36.2% in November. It could be even bigger. We don't know the statistics for this last lockdown. When we're looking at John Lewis, Next, M&S, phenomenal sales online. And this is going to continue because we're all used to this now. Why should we go back? So looking at these parcel carriers, these are the top 5 in the UK at the moment. Royal Mail at 35%. They've been sitting at the top for a long time. Amazon Logistics, 15%. I'm going to come on to them in a little while. Hermes, UPS, DHL. It's interesting to note on Amazon Logistics, where we go, here we go. There we go. They are pretty busy. So looking at what we've been doing and what I've been writing about in the last year, I wrote about 29 individual parcel deals. Not all of them, obviously not all the deals that were done. I don't get around to all of that, but this is just a sort of a look, I suppose you can see. And that made up 4.4 million square foot of space. And as you can see, Amazon, Royal Mail, they were taking about sort of 1.7 million square foot. Hermes, Whistle, DPD, to a lesser extent. There are 11 separate parcel companies that we happen to cover. Interesting, that looks fine. What I found most interesting was that if you do it by the number of individuals done by courier, Amazon Logistics did by far the most deals. And they're not stopping. In 2014, Amazon Logistics only made up 4% of the parcel delivery market by volume in the UK. 6 years later, it's 15%, and it's the second largest in the UK. It's scary out there, because what I see on the parcel side is market share. It's all about market share. Who is going to get their networks completed and done and able to provide customers with what they want, which is, you know, same day and next day delivery. And how is it going to be done? For Amazon Logistics, it's really easy. They're going to be going out there and they're going to be taking space. I think when I've talked to individuals over the last couple of months, I think a figure of 40 facilities they're wanting to look for in 2021. That's 40. In the past year, I'm tracking 30 deals in the last 12 months, roughly 20.25 million square foot in the last 12 months. And that obviously does include the first 6 weeks of this year as well. Obviously, not all of that is going to be Amazon Logistics. Quite a lot of it is for their sort of distribution. It's quite difficult to work out exactly what they're going to be doing where. It's going to be a bun fight. These people have got to put everything in. Where and how can they make it more efficient to get that market share? One of those big areas, and that's why we come back to that Royal Mail deal, is it's going to be automation. It's going to be, you know, getting the sort of parcels through an individual building really fast. Again, that brings me back to that sort of Royal Mail deal, where we're going to sort of see that happen. Moving on. So admittedly, Amazon Logistics is out there. They've got deep pockets and they're very busy. To be honest, Amazon full stop is being very busy. And with the number of deals that it wants to do, if your building hasn't got Amazon looking after it, I think, to be really very honest, I'd be worrying about the building. However, there are other parcel couriers out there who want to get going. We've seen Hermes as well up in Barnsley. They're going to be opening their biggest hub up there, some 340,000 square foot. Again, fully automated and going through like that. I don't think that's going to be the end of it. I do know that Yodel is also going to be doing a big hub up in the north. Still trying to chase that one down, but watch this space. DPD, 15 new regional hubs. Hermes, they've got 90 sub depots. These guys aren't taking just big space, they're taking small space as well. They've got to fill those networks. And it's very exciting to see what's going to happen in this bit. But parcels have said, although, I was checking the time there, parcels, although very big, wasn't just about, you know, taking space. It was about taking that space and taking that space quickly. One of the other little deals that I came across, which I think again typified a lot of what was happening last year, was the letting of this warehouse in Weybridge to Hermes. Chatting with Oxenwood, it sort of came about that they had an occupier in there. The occupier was moving out. Hermes wanted to go in. I think they wanted it to happen within days. If they could have got it moving within days, they would have done. In the end, you know, the change from one occupier to another and getting the other one fully operational took just 8 weeks. And that, I think, we see happening over and over again. last year. The speed with which these deals are completed and the speed with which, you know, the occupiers are in and actually working was phenomenal. And it wasn't just in the parcels sort of area. I certainly know with Logical, with Farm Foods, yes, it was a building next door to one they already got, again, moving really, really fast. And we see this time after time after time. Again, probably one of the reasons why, you know, lots of speculative buildings got taken up last year. Again, speed of stuff, everything about speed. How fast can we get it happening? Entertaining days. One of the other big things about all of this is that there are a lot more sort of good news sort of stories going around. On the parcel side, I think something that struck me very strongly, especially as we hear so many jobs being lost, say, in the hospitality retail sectors, you know, 400,000 jobs we're sort of talking about. So just me sort of looking around across the stuff that we've done in Logistics Manager and what we've reported, you know, Royal Mail kept on 10,000 temporary workers after Christmas. Hermes, 10,500 jobs they want to do. Amazon, 10,000 jobs. DPD, 6,000 jobs. When I looked at through, you know, one of those, you know, Indeed.com, etc., so you guys came across the fact there's 188,000 courier vacancies right now in the UK. These guys are growing and they want people. And it's phenomenal. And hopefully, you know, as much as the parcels sort of helped us and kept us going through lockdown, perhaps it's also going to help us quite a long way when we come out of lockdown, to ensure that people get jobs and get working again in the UK. So that's one bit. But that then moves on slightly swiftly, or not swiftly as your case may be, I'm going all over the place on this, is pets. Pets were another huge thing for all of us this past year. And so my next deal of the year has to be the Pets at Home pre-let up at Stafford, where Pets at Home are going to do, I think it's 670,000 square foot in total, but I think that might include expansion land as well. And that's a sort of national storage sort of centre. Stowford are developing that for them. £48 million facility there at the Redhill Business Park. It is all about the pandemic puppy. Really interesting, those sort of figures. There is a lot of, you know, we are a nation of pet lovers. And in February 2020, the PDSA gave us sort of the actual number of cats and dogs and even bunny rabbits that we all have. And there's a lot, you know, 10.9 million cats, 10.1 million pet dogs. What's worrying or scary or just phenomenal is that 5.7 million new pets were brought between March and September 2020, and that included 2.2 million pet dogs. It is phenomenal, the growth in just that short period of time. The market itself, oops, there we go. The market itself, oh look, sorry, I had to do that. My son's going to be 18. This is not a pandemic puppy. This was actually my son and his pet dog quite a few years ago, but he's 18 years old and it's a mother's job to embarrass her son at every possible moment. Carrying on, the pet industry in the UK, 6.3 billion, money I can't quite get my head around. I always thought I was, you know, quite good on the old pet side. I'm not quite sure I spend that amount on them, but people do, and it's growing, and it's grown phenomenally in the last year. If we look at that from there, again, it's that online piece. And we are seeing that really happening here in the UK. And it's not just the big boys. I mean, Pets at Home has seen phenomenal growth. I mean, no wonder they need that new facility. In fact, it was so busy for them, they had to grab a 2-year lease on a property, about 141,000 square foot in Stoke from London Metric, just to sort of tide them over before this one is built. So we see, you know, because of this sort of omni-channel pushing that sort of internet bit, they had to sort of grow. Petshop.co.uk, I thought, had a wonderful thing. They had a 300% uptick in sales in the first lockdown. I do understand it sort of settled down a little bit more, but it's there. People now know how to do it, and they're not going to stop. I did sort of come across various little bits that I thought was quite interesting. We're not the only nation of dog and cat lovers. During the lockdown in Spain, while walking your dog was allowed during that first part of lockdown, children had to stay indoors for 45 days. So if you had a dog in Spain, you were fine. If you had just children, it wasn't very good for you. It has been, I think I'm rattling through this quite fast actually, it has been an extraordinary year. And there is absolutely no doubt that the world has changed, and how we live our lives on a day-to-day basis, how we work, how we shop, how we socialize. We were already doing quite a lot of that. But you know, we've gone down this extraordinary sort of technological revolution. They say that necessity is the mother of invention, and oh boy, have we invented a lot in this past year. And I don't think we're ever going to go back. And beyond that, I think it's really important to note we wouldn't have been able to go into lockdown if we didn't have such an extraordinary supply chain in this country. In fact, in the world, we couldn't have done it. And despite the fact that, you know, things stopped and snarled up, it kept us going. And I think that is something that we need to remember. Without it, we couldn't do it. We now know that people in the logistics industry are considered as key workers. And I don't think 5 years ago, anybody would have thought that. There is extraordinary change happening. And, you know, we're at the heart of it, which is absolutely fantastic. And that probably leads me on to what I consider the most extraordinary deal of the year. Oops, there we go. There's a whole load of stuff there. Just saying that we did do extraordinarily well. These statistics, I completely forgot I had this one. These stats basically telling us where the logistics industry is. So the Barclays BDO Logistics Confidence Index basically gives you the top 100 companies, you know, 16.4 billion, even under present conditions. The logistics market, again, looking, everybody's expecting to see profits increase, you know, nearly 50% expect to see increase in profits in the next 12 months. And then, of course, there's the property side, which has almost been breathtaking. I don't think I've ever seen so much space taken up in 1 year. I've never been so busy. And I have been writing exclusively about big sheds for 20 years. I don't want to say how old I am, but there we go. Probably giving it away there a bit there. Anyway, as I said, moving on, this is the most extraordinary deal of the year. I was on LinkedIn trying to find sort of stories, you know, checking up on everybody as you do. And there was a small, almost throwaway piece coming, a call from CBRE saying that the NHS needed storage space. I think that sort of went out. I probably should know the date, but it went out not long after we had all been in lockdown. So I would have said probably the end of March. Within 1 week, 14.25 million square foot of space had been found for the NHS. The majority of it being offered absolutely free. The enormity of just that one thing that happened is extraordinary. To find that amount of space, to coordinate that amount of space in 1 week, it was just the best deal, and it sparked off a whole load of things that we saw. It certainly in that first sort of lockdown, that first 10 weeks when we were all outside clapping for the NHS. Yeah, I went out there, I clapped for the NHS. I also clapped for the logistics industry and for the property industry, without whom, we can't do all of this. We had people from Ted Baker up in the East Midlands, opening some of its spare capacity for the hospital in Derby. We had Galliard Homes opening up space for Essex County Council. We've seen an extraordinary amount of people opening up SEGRO, opening up spare warehouse space for food banks. Everybody's sort of coming together and getting it done. There are stories all over showing this collaboration that is done. And I think the most extraordinary deal, therefore, has to be for the NHS. Deals that have entertained me are myriad, and far too many to count. And then parcels. So yeah, for me last year, parcels, pets, PPE. Guys, if any of you have any sort of questions, I mean, I have rattled through a little bit faster than I thought. I'm very, very nervous about all of this. And without hearing you, I find it quite extraordinary. So I'm looking down at all my notes. If you do have any questions, I really, really would love to hear them. I'm going to move that onto there. So yeah, any questions? I'm getting this. I'll be much better the next time I do one of these, I promise. So if you've got any questions, I think you can pop them into the Q&A. I'm not quite sure how that works. I've opened it up, but we'll sort of see. So do go ahead with that. And in the meantime, I'm going to say, thank you to our sponsors. So anybody got any questions? Any at all? None at all? It's going to be a very, very short webinar, this. No questions? Can somebody phone me? Oh. Okay. Ian, while you focus on big sheds, do you have any views of how these link into the growth of last mile sites? Do I have any views? Yes. Last mile. Let me just think. Yes. Big sheds, always going to happen. Last mile, we can't actually get that sort of depth into the local community without that last mile. And there has been a huge push on that. I haven't focused on sort of the grocery side, because that is completely another story, but you certainly sort of see that happening there, especially in London. We are seeing a lot of smaller sheds being taken up. That was one of the things that I found quite extraordinary across the whole picture when I write my sort of deals and talk to everybody. Always was the sort of mid box and smaller. That was still really strong. I did find that one of the most extraordinary things that sort of happened out there, and therefore that has to put into that much smaller sort of last mile sites. I haven't got any sort of particular details on that one, but I hope, Ian, that sort of gives you a little bit of an opening there. Oh, I'm sorry, Claire, wanting to grasp the scale of the NHS deals, didn't quite grasp the scale of it. 14.25 million square foot was found of spare space in 1 week. I know sometimes a deal, I know for about 900,000 square foot took 4 years to land. So 14.25 million square foot in 1 week is extraordinary. And I think going forward, it could be, I'm not sure it could be done now. There is phenomenal take-up has landed up with us having very, very limited amount of space and very limited amount of immediate space. So space that you could move into right now. So I don't think it could be done again. Not at the moment. Perhaps in a couple of years when we're a little bit more settled, I think it could be done. So hopefully that gives you a little bit more on the scale of what happened. I hope that helps. Any other questions? I think I've answered that one live. Answered live. Type answer. No, I don't have to type any answers. I hope that's okay. I'm quite nervous because I know I have a big list of who everybody was. And thank you so much for viewing the webinar. I hope it was interesting. I hope you now understand what I was, why these were my particular deals of the year. I think there's a lot more to be said about parcels. I'm really looking forward to writing about them and finding out what's going on. I do desperately want to bring in what's happening in the grocery world, because that is going to be phenomenal. As I said, pets, well, we've all got those. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. A little bit quiet, a little bit not quite as exciting, I think, probably as parcels. But you've always got to have something to come home to, you know, other than your children who complaining bitterly that the internet doesn't work. And then obviously sort of the PPE. I do think, again, PPE and pharma is something that we're going to be seeing much more of as we go on. Unfortunately, I don't think we're out of this. And I think, again, another area within the logistics industry and in the logistics property industry that will be really, really exciting to watch and go through. I said, if there are no more questions, I've really scampered through this in half an hour. I just really want to say thank you so much, and to thank our sponsors for this morning, GLP, Logicor, and Prologis. I hope to hear a lot more about your deals going forward, your planning applications, and what you're doing. So please keep sponsoring. More importantly, keep talking to me. Everybody else out there, I really, really would love to hear your sort of feedback, and hopefully talk to you all again soon. And I think that's as far as I'm going to say is over and out, please.